Namaskar. COVID-19 upended the global film industry, halting film production and closing cinemas, massively impacting the film industry across the globe. Well, today in India, Prakash Javadekar, the Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting, released a set of standard operating procedures or SOPs while allowing the shooting of the film and television shows to resume all across the country. So it's back to sets, it's back to business as far as our TV and film industry is concerned, and that is going to be our talking point tonight on News Night. I'm Sakal Bhatt, but first up, here are the headlines. Union Information and Broadcasting Minister releases standard operating procedures for resuming work in film and television program shooting across the nation. Social distancing and periodic sanitation of shooting venues made mandatory. No audience to be allowed on sets to avoid crowding. Film and television industry wholeheartedly welcome the decision of government to bring out SOP for resuming production work. Madhur Bhandarkar thanks Prime Minister Modi for always encouraging and supporting the film industry, while Subhash Ghai says industry will pick up pace again very soon. In other news of the day, BJP President sounds the poll bugle in Bihar and announces that BJP will contest elections together with JDU and LJP in the state. Says people of Bihar would continue to repose faith in the BJP and the NDA. Targets the opposition, saying they lack vision and are bereft of ideas. Leadership crisis again shakes the Congress party as 23 senior Congress leaders, including 5 former chief ministers, write to Sonia Gandhi demanding a full-time leader. Also demand complete overhaul of the organizational structure. Home Ministry issues fresh guidelines for international flights under Vande Bharat scheme. Stranded Indians to be registered at the Indian Embassy of the stranded country. Registration not required in countries covered under airport transport bubble arrangement. Security agencies raid ISIS terrorist Abu Yusuf's house at Balrampur in Uttar Pradesh. Recover a suicide vest, explosives and landmines from his house. Detained 4 people for further questioning. Terrorist was arrested from New Delhi's Dholakua area on Friday earlier. Flood situation in Bihar continues to remain grim, with over 83 lakh people in 16 districts worst affected. UP also faces flood fury and state government sets 2,000 relief camps for affected people. Mobile teams assess health of people across the state. And on the COVID-19 front, recovery rate from COVID-19 rises to nearly 75%, with over 22.8 lakh recoveries reported. Fatality rate further falls to 1.86%. Global case tally reaches grim milestone of 23 million cases, with over 8 lakh fatalities reported worldwide. And back home, Prime Minister Narendra Modi shares his love for nature via Instagram, feeds peacocks at his residence during his morning routine of exercises, and places tower-like structures where birds can make their nests. Prime Minister Modi also shares a poem on nature. And now on News Night, the top stories in detail. COVID-19 pandemic, upended and impacted the global film industry. It halted film production, and cinemas across the globe were closed, massively impacting the industry business across the globe. The Indian film industry was also hit, impacting livelihoods of lakhs and lakhs of workforce involved. Today, Prakash Javadekar, the Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting, released a robust set of standard operating procedures or guidelines or SOPs while allowing the shooting of the film and television shows to resume all across the country. So basically, it's back to sets, it's back to business. We have this detailed report. Take a look.
Production of films and TV serials had come to a halt for the last couple of months because of the coronavirus pandemic and the subsequent lockdown. But with unlock being implemented now, life is coming back on track. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has taken up the task of ensuring that production of films and television serials across the country resumes. On Sunday, Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar issued an SOP related to media production. Developed in consultation with the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Home Affairs, shooting for films and television serials can now resume. According to the SOP, except for the people facing the camera, everyone else will have to wear masks.
We are today releasing the standard operating procedure for film shooting and TV program shooting, because last 6 months many parts of the countries have seen complete closure of this segment of industry, and few states have allowed partial shootings. But today we are laying standard operating procedure as per the international experience, and with the consultation of Health Ministry and with the consultation of the Home Ministry.
According to the SOP, those employees who are on higher risk need to take extra precautions. 6 feet social distancing at shoot locations must be maintained, and minimum cast and crew should be present during shoots.
This is an important aspect of economy, and it employs millions of people, and they were not getting jobs for last 4-5 months. Therefore, we have issued this to facilitate now the production activity to resume, and in all respects, and I am very sure that everybody will welcome this and all states will implement it.
The film and TV industry plays an important role not only in India's economic growth but also in creating brand India. Last year, on the inauguration of the Film and TV Museum, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said, "An integral and important part of India's soft power is our films. They represent Indianness in the eyes of the world. Our films have been an attraction to the whole world. Our films keep doing well at the box office and moreover play an enormous role in increasing the credibility and in creating a brand for India." The INB Ministry is doing all it can to ensure that activity in the film and TV industry returns to the new normal in wake of the challenges that the coronavirus pandemic poses. With Shailendra Mishra, Bureau Report, DD India.
And the film fraternity and everyone associated with the cine and television industry, the producers, actors, directors, they've all welcomed these standard operating procedures released by the ministry today. Some reactions.
Announcement by the Government of India and Information Broadcasting Ministry, SOP, for the film industry to start the shooting. It's a great initiative. Since last 6 months, the industry was completely shut and there was no shooting, but this news is definitely encouraging. I would like to thank Honorable PM Shri Narendra Modi ji, who's always been encouraging and very supportive whenever our film industry fraternity met him. Big thanks to you, sir. And thanks to Prakash Javadekar ji to put this initiative for the film shooting. And we all definitely have to follow the norms. We have to follow the measures there in the SOP written by the Government of India. And we all have to follow this.
The SOPs announced by the government is very good. In fact, if followed meticulously, it will ensure there is no spread of corona. We once again thank our Minister Shri Prakash Javadekar ji and his entire team for announcing these SOPs and giving us permission to shoot immediately.
We're very glad that the central government has issued some very clear shooting guidelines for us to follow going forward. State governments have issued these guidelines as well in the past, but it's important that there was some sort of a directive from the center, and now it has come. We intend as an industry to follow all the safety protocols that have been prescribed, and we hope that in the future we will have shoots that will be conducted that will be keeping all the safety protocols in mind and will have a safe and a healthy environment for the cast and crew. Once again, we're very thankful to the central government for going ahead and issuing these very clear guidelines.
And Uri director Aditya Dhar has also expressed happiness over the SOPs released by the government for shooting. He has tweeted, and let's quickly take a look at Aditya Dhar's tweet. Aditya Dhar of Uri fame saying, and I quote, "Thank you so much, sir, for this extremely detailed SOP which will ensure environment on set. I urge all production houses to kindly follow this so that we can safely resume work and go back to doing what we enjoy the most, folded hands."
We, the film studios and the senior workers of Northeast India, welcome and appreciate the SOP of INB Ministry to cope up the challenges of COVID-19 and to continue the artistic production smoothly during this COVID-19. We thank Honorable INB Minister Sri Prakash Javadekar and his team for this SOP, which is designed so systematically, covering everything of our artistic productions.
So now let's take a detailed look, especially first up, we're going to explain in detail the standard operating procedures that have been released by Prakash Javadekar, Minister of Information and Broadcasting. Let's quickly roll out those features for you because we're talking about back to business, back to sets. First up, let's talk about the general standard operating procedures. This include face masks are mandatory at all public and workplaces. Also, frequent hand washing and provision of hand sanitization is something which is still being pressed upon. Spitting strictly is prohibited in public places, plus use of Arogya Setu application or app is also advised like earlier. Physical distancing to be maintained of at least 6 feet at all times at all places. Now let's talk about the specifics. Let's move and talk about SOPs at the shooting sets in particular. What does this entail? It talks about thermal screening at various entry points. Remember, we are talking about the shooting sets, the action where it happens. Only asymptomatic will be allowed on the shooting sets or the premises of the shooting sets, followed by specific markings need to be maintained to manage long queues as well. This also includes frequent sanitization of workplaces and the common facilities that will be used in the shooting premises. Besides that, also standees, audiovisual media, COVID-19 preventive measures basically displaying all be encouraged. Besides that, the seating arrangement maintaining adequate social distancing all is also part of the SOPs, which also, let's move on, no contact transaction for tickets. This is not going to be any physical contact while or ticket distribution is. And how that is going to be covered? By promoting more online bookings, by promoting e-wallets, QR. All this needs to be used more and more. Besides that, physical distancing of has to be maintained. Face mask covers mandatory for the cast and crew while shooting on the film sets. Besides, use of props is what is also talking about. Sanitization of these props mandatory before these props on the film set. Now, let's talk about SOP procedures for actors. Very, very important. Face masks are again mandatory for the cast and crew. Masks are for the actor and only in front of camera, naturally. Now, let's talk about the workforce. Makeup artists, very important, extremely important. They all PPE kits on the film. Sharing of wigs, etc. This kept very, very minimal as per. Also, the label avoided, or if you can not even share the label, also with the SOPs. Besides, contact of these mics with the mics avoided. Overview SOPs of the is concerned. Important do's. Now let's move on to the long impact COVID-19 pandemic and television industry. Let's now Indian film industry, as we speak, its worth evaluated estimation is at rupees 191 billion. That's whopping number. Now film segment has grown from 10% in 2019 to actually reach this 191 billion mark. And also we know for the first time in history we had the zero, the entire India box office registering zero during the COVID-19 period. 1,830 were released in 2019, that is India. We 20 talking about the out regional languages, more than 200 are only produced in the film industry only. Now, Actors Guild of India, 35 daily wage workers state. We're going as well. Besides 18,500 crore worth Hindi film, estimated valuation of only the Hindi film industry, more than lakh jobs were during these times. Industry is also faced the staff associated with it. Multiplex India employs more than 200,000 directly. That is also worst hit. Workforce for nearly 6% of the revenues of the film business, which means the entire film business, if you talk about the corpus of the film business, 60% of it comes from the workforce, all those who are associated. And the release of 55 films were or delayed during period. Therefore, some of the films, some of the production houses, media houses opted for direct or digital releases through platforms. We are going to take a short break. Other side, please don't go away, because we have a very of directors and producers joining us on the other news side, because in focus we are talking about SOPs in great detail. This for and film industry. Stay with us.
आधुनिक और आसान है परिवार नियोजन। जैसे फोन करें और नियोजन से जुड़ी हर जानकारी, जोड़ी जिम्मेदार जो प्लान करे परिवार।
बेटे आप लोग जल्दी से घर जाओ।
थैंक यू सर। हाँ बेटा जाओ।
पूरी मेडिकल कम्युनिटी खड़ी है आपके लिए ढाल बनके। हम हैं कोरोना वॉरियर।
मैं हूं कोरोना वॉरियर।
मैं हूं कोरोना वॉरियर। हम हैं कोरोना वॉरियर।
थैंक यू कोरोना वॉरियर्स।
थैंक यू शुक्रिया। गुड जॉब।
थैंक यू।
Stay home, stay safe. Thank you कोरोना वॉरियर्स for saving us.
करके हम अपने नगद लेन देन को बहुत ही आसान बना सकते हैं। ऐप के जरिए केबल टीवी, डीटीएच, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल पेमेंट आसानी से किए जा सकते हैं। साथ ही गैस बिल का भुगतान, इंश्योरेंस भी किया जा सकता है। भीम ऐप से आप लैंडलाइन पोस्टपेड, जीवन बीमा, लोन पेमेंट, मोबाइल पोस्टपेड का पेमेंट भी कर सकते हैं। आपको किसी से पैसा मंगाना हो, भेजना हो तो वो भी आसानी से किया जा सकता है। तो देर किस बात की, अपने मोबाइल पे भीम ऐप डाउनलोड कीजिए और अपने प्रक्रिया को आसान बनाइए।
Thanks for staying with DD News. You're watching News Night, and let me quickly go across to our very special panel joining us to talk about the significance of the standard operating procedures in focus. That's going to be a talking point tonight. SOPs for industry release, which means what does this really mean for the robust film industry and the workforce, which runs in thousands and thousands that they're associated with it. It is going to impact them majorly. Thank you so much, all of you. Let me quickly, in fact, welcome renowned film producer Neel Mehtab Panda, Padma Shri Neel Mehtab Panda, Special Jury Award and National Film Awardee as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Neel. And also, I'm very glad and honored to have on Doordarshan Shaji Karun, Shaji, film director, highly accomplished national level film director. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. Shaji Karun, of course, one of the most renowned directors in down south, and very glad to have Bora, Assamese film director of national and international repute, also joining us on the national broadcast. Really appreciate you joining us. Neel, I'm going to quickly come to you. Your quick views. It was a long wait for the entire film fraternity, but do you think, first of all, these SOPs are enough? And how soon is the industry now going to kickstart the work, especially the robust workforce that has been? I'm talking about the daily wages. I'm talking about those who were worst hit.
Well, we all have been waiting for a long time because many people, it's not only daily wages or anything, because you have to understand that we entertain the world. And back of the mind, we always, everybody says that we are preparing for script, we are preparing for production, but we have been waiting to shoot because many of us had our productions dues, from TV to cinema to everything. And also for last 5 months, like you said, there are many workers in the millions of families who are dependent on the industry, have nothing. This would help a lot. I'm really thankful to the ministry. I'm really thankful to Honorable Prime Minister to have this announcement. This is a big hope, big news for all of us.
Okay, Shaji and Karun, but in the implementation of it, and especially the minimization, the contact minimization, and restricting not to have the crowds on the sets and adhering to the guidelines during COVID times, what are the challenges that you foresee in terms of its implementation? At the end of the day, it's going to be a film shoot.
Yes, exactly. And we are very thankful. We are waiting for this day to realize that many of the films which we started, even March is being stopped, and many films that are being planned, screenplays, many people out of work for a long time, especially from the light boys onwards, and the makeup man and the hairdresser and the heroes and heroines and many areas. They are coming clear SOP, and I have to thank Honorable Minister Javadkar ki support for doing this for the film industry. I'm extremely glad that we could start it. That is very confident level that we are going to start it. And another thing is that many of the films which are due for the releases in the coming Diwali and everything, this is a perfect time getting a SOP for the right way, and many of them are perfectly written, much better there. follow it. Yes.
Okay, Manju Bora, could you please come in here and also talk about now how much time will the industry really require to cover up the... It's been a long due. Because do you think the implementation of these SOPs and make it, it's now going to be, in fact, it is already as we speak a new normal, it's actually going on the pace somewhere, but that is fine. That's okay as long as the shoot continues, isn't it?
We really welcome that the Ministry of INB, Prakash Javadekar, today he has announced to start the shooting again for TVs and because I think this is at this tragic moment, this situation, cinema workers are the worst sufferers financially, even in the regional film industry like in Assam. Last 5-6 months were terrible. All the workers, especially the technicians and the artists, these are creative people. They do not know how to earn their daily wages otherwise. They do not know how to work in other fields. So this is the high time because we do not know how long this situation will prevail. So it is very essential that we should follow the detailed guidelines. These guidelines, SOPs I have seen, these are quite detailed. If we can follow it and implement it while shooting, but for big productions, I think it will be a little bit difficult because with small, crew members and all, it is okay. But to control a bigger production house, it will be a little bit difficult, especially to want to shoot in the indoor studios and all, studio floors. It will be quite difficult. Just think about the makeup artist, for how long we can wear this kit and do the makeup for the artist.
But we do have yes, Ms. Bora, but we do have a very mushrooming and popular regional film industries, respectively. You talk about North, South, you talk about Northeast, Assam, of course, you are a very, very known name in the Northeast circuit. You think this is enough? Though these are very comprehensive guidelines, but do you think this is enough? Practically speaking.
These are enough, I think, if you can follow, because you see, nowadays this new generation, especially in Assam, they are making films independently, they are making films independently with a very small unit members. So I think it is possible for them to start their work again. But only thing, I feel that the guidelines which have been given should be strictly followed, and frequently it should be reminded to the people, not to the workers, that these are the things. They should not get carried away at this moment because the spread is still there. The spread of the COVID-19, it is still there. They should not get carried away. They should be very cautious about the situation. No artists, no technicians, they fall sick and spread it to the other people of their family members or to the society. So I feel that it should be followed strictly, and very frequently they should be reminded, it should be reminded that these are the guidelines, you should follow on this, you should take care of everything.
And Neil, is that, right ma'am, Neil, is that going to be a challenging area, sustaining the implementation of this?
I don't think it's a big challenge, because ultimately in last 4-5 months, we have really seen, we have made films, we have made a lot of awareness film. Many filmmakers have done song, films, lot of ways we have created awareness. Okay, so this is very easier thing to be done, because we realize how fatal is COVID-19, and we all are conscious as humans, and humans always find that adaptability always. In fact, this is a big day for all of us that officially government has announced this, and we were ready to shoot. In fact, we can follow anything, any rules you give, and this is in fact a big day for all of us.
It's a big day for all of us. Shaji and Karun, what are your thoughts now? The recovery is now going to be the focus, and the recovery amid following these standard operating procedures, sir.
Yes, in fact, Kerala, we have started shooting earlier with a small 20 crews, and they are very familiar with what the SOP is written here, and the guidelines are for the bigger crew, and especially in southern side, we have a crew which can understand the discipline, what is being described in SOP. It's not a big issue at all, but because many people, they are aware of the COVID, and their problems also are from the health side, Therefore, to run this film industry is also their concern. I think they understand it at the basic value itself. Therefore, this SOP is perfect for me. And I don't think so, because maybe there must be some difficulties in bringing equipment from outside, then sanitations there, maybe time consuming for that reason. But still, coming back to the work at this time is very, very important. Because yeah.
Okay, Neil, very quickly now, when you compare this with the other countries, globally speaking, do you think, adding the way we have now come up within first 6-7 months of this entire shutdown of the film industry, even when we talk about the mushrooming film industry in India, which is globally very popular, we are much ahead of curve as compared to other film industries in the other popular cinematic nations?
Well, indeed, if we can compare, India is one of the biggest industry in the world, and we had to do it. And what we have done, I would say that many countries have opened up in many ways, but if I see India that way, the curve, in a way, I mean, it's fine everywhere. It will spread, but we have also done things well in terms of Delhi, Bombay, many places. And this is a time where we have to give hope to people. It's been 5 months. People are shut inside the door. You cannot keep people inside.
But is it going to be a changed industry now? I mean, is it going to be something different? The contours of the film industry now post-COVID era are going to be something different from what we saw pre-COVID and now post-COVID.
Certainly, in many ways. In fact, this is a whole new world, and I would see a bigger hope in the industry.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because talents will have different way to emerge out of it. So let's see. Always say that human have fought always different kind of situation, and here is a situation where government is so supportive, and I think the industry will emerge out of it.
Okay, so Ms. Bora, some sort of out-of-the-box thinking that has gone in making these or formulating these SOPs, because like Neil seemed to be very enthusiastic about the different cutting-edge film industry that we'll get to see now post-COVID.
Sorry? Yeah. It will be quite different. The work style, the makers, how they proceed about the whole thing, how they control the unit, everything. Even I think it's a process of evolution. The process of evolution. Even this post-era, this post-COVID era, I think the concept, the style, everything will be changed. It has to be, because earlier we were very elaborate about taking a lot of crew members and all. Now we'll have to think about it, and about the age factor is also there. So those things also we'll have to keep in mind. So I think a lot of things are going to happen. All changes are coming. So let's see how we start, how people start making films, and how it will come up. I mean, how they proceed. Let's see. Let's wait. Now it is too early to say, actually.
Yes, Shaji Karun, also the focus now also shifts to the safety of the crew. Safety of the crew is paramount.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Because the reason is many of the performers, they shift from one place to other places, and they may act in different films at a time, maybe different films and different, especially junior artists and other area. They have very common shooting grounds in different places. So the safety of them is very important.
What I'm wanting to ask you, sir, is it going to put some sort of stress now once, there is this new method to the madness, once the shooting restarts amid pandemic, COVID-19 implementation, all this needs to be implemented. That's very important.
Very true, but it's maybe a new beginning. But the people will understand, they will familiarize the kind of restrictions and the ways it has to be done.
Right.
I don't think so. It's take about 2 weeks time, probably.
Oh, lovely, great. Yeah. And Neela, just final line, final comments from you, very, very briefly. When do we get to see the box offices ticking now?
Well, soonest. I'm very optimistic, and everything becomes habit for human. Like when we had Delhi pollution, wearing a mask for 1 hour was difficult. Now we can wear mask for 8 hours. So everything will jump on like that as humans, I would be very hopeful that within no time everything will change for a good reason.
Okay, but as you just rightly said, it's going to be a different industry. On a very positive note, thank you very much. Lights, camera, action is now going to be reality very soon. Nilab, Mehta, Banda, as well as Shaji and Karun and Manju Bora. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us on the National Broadcaster and sharing your thoughts. Let's now move on and focus on this other big story that we have been consistently tracking for you, the latest on the COVID-19, the numbers. Let's now take a look at the update on COVID-19 from across the country. The good news, viewers, is that the recovery rate is nearing 75%, while the case fatality rate has fallen to 1.86%. High recoveries have pushed India's recovery rate to nearly 75%. In fact, the best news is that India's recoveries have exceeded the active cases by nearly 1 lakh. And one of the lowest globally, India's case fatality rate has also dipped further. Comprehensive report.
India's three-pronged strategy of test, trace and treat is proving to be a big success, keeping India ahead of the curve with much accelerating pace of testing. At least 8,11,147 tests have been conducted in last 24 hours, with recoveries of 57,989 COVID patients reported in the last 24 hours. Total number of recoveries have reached 22,80,566. India's total recoveries now exceed total active cases of 7,07,668 by nearly 16 lakhs. 1,515 labs are functional across the country, which include 983 government labs. Currently at 1.86%, India's fatality rate is one of the lowest globally. Because of the robust testing and sustained centre's policy of testing aggressively, tracking comprehensively and treating efficiently, this has resulted in gradual fall in mortality rate. Consistently increasing number of recoveries has pushed recovery rate to nearly 74%. Aggressive testing coupled with efficient clinical treatment has resulted in almost 100% increase in recovered cases. Over 8 lakh people have got tested in the last 24 hours. Total number of samples tested so far stood at 3,52,92,220. Meanwhile, higher number of recoveries and declining mortality rate have shown that India's graded and proactive strategies are delivering on ground. News Night Desk.
And now let's move on to some news on political front. Well, in an attempt to bolster its poll prospects in Bihar, which haven't been announced as yet, the ruling NDA has boosted its re-election campaign strategy through a series of virtual meetings and rallies. And for the past few months, we know there was a lot of tussle between the JDU and LJP over the seat sharing arrangement, leading to some sort of speculations about whether they will or will not contest the elections as an alliance or not. The BJP president, in fact, today brought to the fore the challenges of floods as well as corona and said that the people of Bihar will expect much more from its leaders in the forthcoming elections.
The Bihar Assembly election has not yet been announced, but political parties in Bihar have already sounded the poll bugle. The ruling NDA has boosted its re-election campaign through a series of virtual rallies and meetings, getting its cadres mentally prepared for the elections. The BJP Bihar Pradesh Working Committee interacted with the party's top brass through video conferencing and discussed the election strategy with party workers in online attendance. BJP National President JP Nadda addressed the workers from Delhi at the conclusion of the two-day working committee meeting. The BJP president made it clear that the BJP, JDU and LJP will contest the elections together in the state. JP Nadda targeted the opposition, saying that they lacked vision and were bereft of ideas. The people of Bihar would continue to repose faith in the BJP and the NDA.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी, जनता दल यूनाइटेड और इसके साथ-साथ लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी सब मिलकर के चुनाव लड़ेंगे और यशस्वी होंगे.
BJP president brought to the fore the challenges of floods and corona and said that the people will expect much from their leaders. JP Nadda told the workers to take the work done by the central government to the people, especially during the lockdown.
बहुत किस्म की challenges हैं. हम कोविड से लड़ करके हटे हैं, बाढ़ से हम लड़ रहे हैं, आगे चल करके चुनाव आएगा, अपनी जान की भी व्यवस्था करनी है. कोविड का संक्रमण इस साल के अंत तक तो रहने वाला ही है, यह मान करके चले. अपनी रक्षा भी करनी है और रक्षा करने के साथ साथ राजनीतिक मुद्दों को जनता तक पहुंचाना है, यह हमारी कोशिश होनी चाहिए.
The term of the present Bihar legislature concludes in the last week of November this year. Elections are expected between October and November. The Election Commission has also released its guidelines for the elections, indicating that the Bihar elections could be on time. For the past few months, there has been a tussle between the JDU and the LJP over seat sharing, leading to some speculations about whether they will contest the elections as an alliance. But the BJP president seems to have cleared the air, indicating that the NDA stands together. With inputs from Rajesh Raj, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Seeking collective leadership, 23 senior Congress leaders have written to Sonia Gandhi, the current in charge of the party, demanding full-time leader. The letter in question has also put a lot of focus on collective decision-making or the lack of it, with Gandhi family as its integral part. And with that, a long-withstanding leadership crisis within the Congress party once again comes to the helm. Take a look.
Questions once again being raised over the leadership crisis in the Congress. 23 senior Congress leaders have written to Sonia Gandhi, the current in charge of the party, demanding a full-time leader. Among those leaders, 5 former chief ministers, several members of the Congress Working Committee, current members of parliament and former ministers have written for an overhaul of the organizational structure and changes to the leadership. The letter by former ministers and some MPs was believed to have been written a few weeks ago and sets the stage for a stormy CWC meeting where issues flagged by dissenters are expected to be discussed and debated. These leaders have called for bringing changes in the organization by effecting reforms through decentralization of power and empowerment of state units, besides setting up of the Central Parliamentary Board, a body that existed in the party in the 1970s but was later wound up. The letter in question has also stressed collective decision-making with the Gandhi family as its integral part.
हर जिले का पार्टी आप देख सकते हैं 3 साल में अध्यक्ष बदल जाता है। फिर बात नेहरू जी अध्यक्ष, उसके बाद इंदिरा जी अध्यक्ष, उसके बाद राजीव जी अध्यक्ष, उसके बाद सोनिया जी अध्यक्ष, उसके बाद राहुल जी अध्यक्ष, और राहुल ने छोड़ी तो फिर सोनिया अध्यक्ष। अहमद की टोपी, मोहम्मद के सिर, मोहम्मद की टोपी, अहमद के सिर, और बाकी कांग्रेस हो गई है ना।
The concerns expressed by party leaders in a letter to Sonia Gandhi are serious in nature, and it remains to be seen what the Congress decides on it. With inputs from Ajay Vikram Singh, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Moving on, security agencies raided ISIS terrorist Abu Yusuf's house at Balrampur in UP, and some incriminating including number of bomb-making items have been recovered from the house of ISIS terrorist Abu Yusuf's residence in Balrampur. Earlier on Friday, remember, special cell of the Delhi police arrested ISIS operative after a brief encounter near Ring Road in the national capital.
More and more revelations are coming out from alleged ISIS operative Abu Yusuf, who was arrested in Delhi on Friday. The Delhi police recovered a large quantity of explosives from Abu Yusuf's house in Balrampur in Uttar Pradesh. Incriminating materials including a brown-colored jacket containing 3 explosive packets and a blue-colored check jacket containing 4 explosive packets and a leather belt containing 3 kg explosive were recovered from his residence. The raid, conducted by a team of special cell officers from Delhi police, also found multiple explosive devices and at least 2 suicide vests, both primed for use in a terror attack apart from ball bearings, electric wires and lithium batteries. Police have arrested 4 people in this connection and further interrogation is going on in the case. Police also came to know that the terrorist Abu Yusuf used to stay in touch with other terrorists in Pakistan and Afghanistan through secure apps. Since 2015, Abu Yusuf joined the notorious terrorist outfit ISIS through social media chats.
2015 से जैसे मैंने आपको बताया था कि ये ISIS के हैंडलर से जुड़ गया था सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू, और तब से ये ISIS के लिए काम कर रहा था। इस आदमी को इंटरसेप्ट किया गया रात में रिज रोड पे, जहाँ पे एक ब्रीफ एक्सचेंज ऑफ फायरिंग हुआ और उसके बाद इससे पकड़ा गया। इसके पास से 2 वो मिले हैं, आईडी मिले हैं, इनफैक्ट प्रेशर कुकर्स हैं जो प्रेशर कुकर बेस्ड आईडीज़ हैं, और apparently देखने में लगता है काफी heavy है।
Abu Yusuf, armed with 2 pressure cooker IEDs with 15 kg of explosives in them and a pistol with 4 cartridges, was arrested from Central Delhi's Ridge Road area on Friday night following a brief exchange of fire. Yusuf had planned to carry out a lone wolf strike at a heavy football area in the national capital. He had planned to strike in the national capital on August 15 but could not do so due to heavy security arrangements. Meanwhile, security was stepped up in the national capital and in neighboring Uttar Pradesh following the arrest. Yusuf was sent to 8-day police custody by a Delhi court on Saturday. Neeraj Singh's report, Newsnight Desk, DD News.
Well, in an apparent attempt to be dropped from the Financial Action Task Force's grey list, Pakistan has banned 88 new terrorists in compliance with the new list issued by the United Nations Security Council. But even as Pakistan tries to escape or wriggle out the FATF blacklisting, its commitment to crack down actually on the terror networks in Pakistan looks shaky. It looks on shaky ground. Pakistan is obfuscating the terror funding issue as per the statement that they've released, which seems to be in absolute contrast, or which seems to contradict its own notification issued on Saturday.
Pakistan has been exposed yet again on the issue of fight against terror after admitting that India's most wanted terrorist Dawood Ibrahim is staying in Karachi. Pakistan once again resorted to obfuscation on Sunday. On earlier occasions also, Pakistan has denied the presence of Dawood Ibrahim on its soil. Pakistan once again played true to its character and issued a statement on Sunday that notification on the 88 banned organizations and terrorists is based on details provided by the United Nations Security Council. Pakistan's Foreign Affairs Ministry issued a statement which says the reports in certain sections of Indian media about Pakistan imposing any new sanctions or measures through these notifications are not factual. Similarly, the assertions made as to Pakistan admitting to the presence of certain listed individuals on its territory based on the information contained in the notifications is baseless and misleading. This is not the first time that Pakistan has blatantly denied the truth and has been a repeat offender in making false claims.
एक इंटेंशन से किया गया है कि एफएटीएफ की जो ब्लैक लिस्ट है उससे पाकिस्तान बच जाए और शॉर्ट टर्म में बच जाए और लॉन्ग टर्म में वापस से वही पॉलिसी को अपनाएगा जो उसने पहले अपनाई है कि एक तरफ वो ये कहता है कि वो टेररिज्म को सपोर्ट नहीं करता, दूसरी तरफ जितने भी इस तरह के इंडिविजुअल्स हैं, दाऊद इब्राहिम लखवी हो या हाफिज सईद हो, उनको वो बीच बीच में पकड़ता है फिर छोड़ देता है। तो इस तरह की जो पॉलिसीज पाकिस्तान की ढुलमुल रही हैं वो चलती रहेंगी, क्योंकि फंडामेंटल आइडेंटिटी की जो उसकी प्रॉब्लम है कि उसके पास विदेश नीति नहीं है, भारतीय नीति है जिसके इर्द गिर्द उसकी विदेश नीति घूमती है, उसकी सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी घूमती है, वो बदलाव में नहीं आने वाली।
Pakistan issued 2 notifications on August 18th announcing sanctions on key figures of terror outfits such as 2611 Mumbai attack mastermind and Jamaat-ud-Dawa chief Hafiz Saeed, Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar and underworld don Dawood Ibrahim. Pakistan for the first time acknowledged the presence of Dawood Ibrahim on its soil after it imposed sanctions on 88 banned terror groups and their leaders, which also included the name of underworld don Dawood Ibrahim, who is wanted by India. India has repeatedly asked the government of Pakistan to hand over Ibrahim to India so that he can be prosecuted for crimes committed by him. It is reported that Ibrahim is based in Karachi. India has also dismissed the joint statement issued by China and Pakistan after the meeting between their foreign ministers. Spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, Anurag Srivastava, said in a statement, "As in the past, we categorically reject the reference to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir in the joint press release of the second round of China-Pakistan Foreign Ministers' Strategic Dialogue. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is an integral and inalienable part of India, and we expect the parties concerned not to interfere in matters that are internal affairs of India." At the same time, India also reiterated its consistent position on the so-called China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. India has repeatedly conveyed its concerns to both China and Pakistan on the projects in China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which are in the territory of India that has been illegally occupied by Pakistan. The MEA statement made it clear that India resolutely opposes actions by other countries that change the status quo in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and calls on the parties concerned to cease such actions. Pakistan is oscillating between desperate steps to save itself from being blacklisted by the FATF to make a U-turn of its admittance of literally patronizing global terrorists on its soil. It once again is denying the obvious and hiding behind blatant lies and misinformation to wriggle out of international scrutiny, but without any tangible gains. It stands exposed once again. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And now let's move on to latest from the flood-ridden states across the country. The flood situation continues to remain grim in Bihar, with several rivers still flowing above the danger mark. Meanwhile, heavy rains have also lashed several parts of Madhya Pradesh as well as Gujarat. Met Department has issued alert for southern parts of West Bengal. We have this detailed report.
Rivers in Spat, homes and buildings collapsing, lives in peril trying to deal with flood calamity. This is the situation prevailing in several parts of the country, where flood fury has thrown life out of gear. Flood situation in Bihar remains grim, with several rivers still flowing above danger level. This has resulted in heavy water discharge from the Gandak and Kosi Bharaj. The river Ganga is also flowing above the danger mark in many places. More than 83 lakh population of 16 districts of still affected by the floods. The relief work is in full swing as 26 teams of Ndrf and Sdrf are engaged, while boats, ambulances have been introduced in Kagaria to treat animals living in the stranded water. In Uttar Pradesh, 1,090 villages in 16 districts have been affected by floods. River Sharda, Rapti, Suryou are flowing above the danger mark. Meanwhile, the Chief Minister has instructed district magistrates to provide materials through boats in flood-affected 15 teams of Ndrf and 7 teams of Sdrf have been deployed in flood-affected districts for rescue measures. Heavy rains in inundated low-lying areas in several parts of Madhya Pradesh. Met Department issued a red alert for heavy rain in western part of state till Monday, including Bhopal, Indore and Sihor. Due to increase in water level, Bharaj gates are being opened from time to time. The state government has issued instructions to the district collectors to set up 24-hour disaster relief teams, while Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has directed district collectors to remain in constant contact for quick relief measures. Situation in other states has been deteriorated due to heavy rains. In Gujarat, Mehsana, rainwater inundated roads and entered following heavy rainfall. Ndrf team are also on standby in district to deal with waterlogging situation. In West Bengal, Met Department has predicted heavy rains in South 24 Parganas, East and West Midnapur, Jhargram, Purulia and Bankura districts for next 2 days. Apart from this, there has an increased rainfall activity in several other states with increased water level in rivers. News Night Desk, DD India.
And now let's take a quick look at what else is happening across the country.
There is no change in former President Pranab Mukherjee's health. The former president continues to be on ventilator support. His all vital parameters are stable. Mukherjee was admitted to the Army Research and Referral Hospital on 10th August and was operated for removal of a clot in the brain. BJP leader and Rajya Sabha MP Jyotiraditya Scindia has said that Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari has approved a sum of 8,000 crore rupees for Gwalior-Chambal Expressway and said the project will be completed very soon. The by-elections for one seat of Rajya Sabha from Uttar Pradesh and one from Kerala will be held on the 24th of August. Counting will also be held on the same day. Voting will take place from 9 in the morning till 4 in the evening. A team of ITBP personnel carried an injured woman for 15 hours as it rescued her from a mountainous and remote border location of Uttarakhand. The troops negotiated swollen rivulets, rocky tracks and landslide-prone heights on Saturday while rescuing the woman on a cot from Labsa village in Pithoragarh district's Munsiari town. In Rampur, 4 people were arrested for running an illegal arms factory. Many illegal arms and ammunition were seized from the spot. In a major success for security forces in Chhattisgarh, 2 Naxals laid their arms to the ITBP in Narayanpur district. Both the Naxals carried a bounty of 1 lakh rupees each on them.
Well, a claim made on social media that Railways has decided not to pay salaries to their employees in 2020-21 due to financial crunch. This claim is absolutely fake. The PIB fact check false and fake. Railways in fact has clarified that no such move is being discussed or even contemplated at the moment. And in another claim by the PIB, which fake news claim, which says that the Ministry of Rural Development has invited applications for the post of Panchayat and Zilla Parishads under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, but a fact check has found that this advertisement is also fake. The Ministry of Rural Development has not issued any such advertisement, hence this news in public domain stands false. Well, Namaste is becoming global, increasingly global, which we did tell you on Saturday. And that's the story which has been widely appreciated by our audience, national as well as international audience. The whole world has adopted a salutation, Namaste, that is so culturally speaking Indian. Major world leaders have added Namaste in their public greetings, and this is increasingly becoming a new global norm. In fact, a new global normal. Let's take a look at this again.
The heads of two world powers showing the world that Namaste has become global. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Angela Merkel greeted each other with a Namaste when they met on Thursday to discuss travel restrictions related to the coronavirus. In view of COVID, the whole world has begun adopting a salutation that is culturally Indian. Major world leaders have added Namaste in their public greetings. Emmanuel Macron had earlier welcomed King Felipe and Queen Letizia of Spain at the Elysee Palace in Paris in early March. Apart from Macron, US President Donald Trump, Prince Charles of Britain and German Chancellor Angela Merkel have adopted this respectful non-contact mode of greeting. On March 11 this year, Prince Charles greeted people with a Namaste at a ceremony in London. In March itself, Donald Trump greeted Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar during his meeting in Washington with a Namaste. At the time, Trump told reporters, "I have just returned from India. I did not shake hands there, and this is very easy. There people welcome each other like this." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu too has adopted the Indian form of greeting in his country. At a press conference this year, he showed the press how Namaste is done. Normally leaders of Western countries shake hands or embrace, but in view of the COVID pandemic, they have adopted this form of greeting for the present. Although India's rich cultural heritage is admired across the world, Namaste has emerged as the perfect greeting. It delivers the respect and courtesy that is expected of a greeting and also prevents the spread of any possible infection. Namaste is part of the new normal, a global greeting. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
So that was the compilation of some of the most memorable and delightful global Namaste moments. And now here's another visual delight for our viewers, and a very, very special one. Prime Minister Narendra Modi sharing a video on his Instagram page, an assortment of shots where he's feeding peacocks at his residence during his morning routine of exercises. Peacocks are often a regular companion during the Prime Minister's routine of exercises. Let's take a look at these mesmerizing and colorful visuals of Prime Minister with the national bird. And with that, it's time to wrap up this edition of Newsnight. Thank you so much for staying with us. Namaste.